The past few days have been interesting to say the least. It seems like every time we get a fire update, we get a group of people complaining, and that's fine because we all have our own opinions. But dog, some of these takes are actually terrible. We should all be giving our opinions to help Ashes of Creation grow because we clearly want the game to be the best that it can be. But when that criticism or feedback is literally based on nothing, you can't grow from that. And at that point, we're just talking. I've seen it enough times, but can someone please explain to me what it means when I hear that the current Ashes of Creation isn't like the old Ashes of Creation? But how can either be true if we've never even had Ashes of Creation? Now, before you start to come at me, I understand that Ashes of Creation has been in development for a few years. I got it. I understand that APOC was a thing. I got it. I even understand if you're referring to Alpha 1, as I've played during that time 2 years ago. But what are people referring to when the game has been in development this whole time and has gotten better? It's not even a debate. I genuinely think statements like this don't do anything for the game, and especially not for the community, because it's not a valid point in the way that you think it is. The reason I say this is because what do the developers, Maggie, Steven, and everyone else have to go off with this? If you missed APOC or Alpha 1 gameplay, then that's one thing, and that's fine, but how can we say that because of this Freehold update, this isn't what Ashes of Creation used to be when it has consistently been changing? You shouldn't buy into something that you're not fully aware of, or if you have to assume something about, unless you don't care what you're spending your money on, and that's fine. When you think of community and what brings people together, this statement doesn't do that. It almost falls into elitism in a way, because it's like, oh, well, I remember when this, that, and the third happened, it was so much better. If that's an opinion you have on something that's concrete, then sure, but again, the game hasn't even dropped, so what are you people talking about? You're literally just chatting, and this can push people away from the community. I'm not saying we need to be soft, I'm not saying we can't reminisce on how things were a few years ago, but there's literally no old Ashes of Creation, just different waiting periods where people come and go, updates change, and we get closer to the release of the game. Now, we've hit a more valid point in this conversation: nostalgia. If some of these folks are simply referring to when they first found out about Ashes of Creation and the big bright eyes they had when they came across this community months or years ago, then I can sort of understand. You miss how things used to be. I know a lot of people feel connected to games, creators, pieces of work, and all of that, especially if they've been around since its inception. That can be a good and bad thing though, because that sense of elitism pops up again. Some people think because they've been in the Discord since it was less than 1,000 people, or have known about the game since it was on Kickstarter, gives them a bigger voice, and I regret to inform you that it does not. I understand being around something for so long and feeling tied to it to the point where you feel like your opinion should mean more, but the two need to be identified and separated. Are you nostalgic? Because there's now hundreds of thousands of people ready to play Ashes of Creation, and you were one of the first, so you missed that feeling and the sense of a tight-knit community that it gave you. Or do you feel entitled because you've been around for so long and now you aren't a fan of how things are currently changing and have forgotten that the game is still in its alpha state? Look, I want the game to be great too, but you gotta let Intrepid do their thing. We've trusted them this far. We're about to cross the finish line for Alpha 2. Don't start tripping now. It just doesn't make sense how Ashes of Creation is a hardcore game and now we're upset about a hardcore feature. You can still get a freehold, you just have to work for it. Well, I mean, at least people won't be upset about the big note update next month, right? What are your thoughts? Do you miss the old Ashes of Creation? Please let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't created an Ashes of Creation account, feel free to use my link in the description. If you're looking for a Discord to join, a community to be a part of, come on and hop on in ours, man. Super fun, I promise. Get on in there. If you want to keep up to date with me, feel free to follow me on Twitter and Twitch, where I stream the live monthly updates and some other MMOs as we wait for Alpha 2. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.